depends. I think Love probably will be the least out of.
Hey, all you lifers out there. Welcome to the Lifers Podcast, where we are serving a life sentence in sports. Our trustees for this afternoon, we have Joshua. How you doing, brother?
So what's up? Doing good, brother.
How you doing, TJ? What's up, man?
What up, what up? Go Knowles.
Oh, I don't know. God damn it.
Okay.
Who knows?
That's how we're starting.
Go Hurricanes. Anyway, Xavier, how you doing, brother?
What's up, lifers?
Man, speaking of Gators, man, we just had recently the draft just come by. It's actually everyone's favorite week. Grades of the offseason plus the NFL draft. We're doing things a little bit different where we're not going to grade every team. We're just going to strictly talk about our favorite, best off seasons and our worst off seasons. So each one of us are going to take a team and talk about it. We don't know each other's picks, actually, so it's going to be a little bit of a surprise. If you take one of mine, I'm going to be angry, but we'll work through it.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
So to start off, man, we're going to go ahead and jump it off. Joshua, who do you think had the best offseason? Again, this includes the free agents and draft.
So for me, being a little biased.
Wait. So sorry. I fucked up. Salud.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I love it.
Salud. Cheers.
Stay
buddy.
safe. But
Stay
when you're
safe
at home,
out there.
Yeah.
Stay classy.
You know?
Oh, nice.
Woo.
All right.
and water from now on, folks. Just kidding.
So, you see, I had to put the hat a little bit lower. I thought a few teams did really well. Obviously, I'm passionate about mine. And so I just think the San Francisco 49ers, when it comes to maintaining the pieces that you feel you need to keep, also the pieces that you feel you're going to give away to get them replaced, like we did with DeForest Buckner. And granted, Kinlaw hasn't proven himself. He has to, stay healthy, make sure he stays healthy in the season. But unfortunately, he had his during, I believe it was a Senior Bowl when he got injured, which was unfortunate, but he was doing really well in that game. And then we have Brandon Ayuk, who apparently, to Kyle Shanahan, former wide receiver himself, was very high on, more than honestly anybody, which I think would have been a crazy thing to reach for him at 13. He was, he was trying to make the argument, and well, maybe, but the fact that Kinlaw was there, thankfully, I think saved that pick for Kinlaw at 13 and not Brandon Ayuk. But I think when it came to acquiring younger pieces, financially making sure, Buckner got paid and went to a good team, I think, with the Colts. I think is another team that did really well in the draft and in the offseason. I think we've just maintained our group that got us to the Super Bowl. Granted, we don't have a guy like Emmanuel Sanders. I think the Niners are going a little bit of the route of, knowing that running the ball is going to be the most important thing. And from what Kyle Shanahan sees in guys like Deebo Samuel, like Brandon Ayuk, like Kendrick Bourne, I think Pettis might not be on. I don't know if he'll make the roster, but guys like Pettis, using Raheem, Tevin, and even Jarek if he stays on the squad. I don't think he will, but if he does, I mean, he's got the talent around him to run all the offensive schemes he wants. And we got Trent Williams for a steal from the Redskins, 7-time Pro Bowler. Shout out to Joe Staley. Thank you for all your years of service. You were amazing.
For sure.
But the biggest, I still have PTSD due to the year that we lost Harbaugh, we lost Patrick Willis, we lost Chris Borland off his rookie year, we lost Crabtree, Alden Smith, Justin Smith. We just had a myriad of things that happened.
But you got Chip Kelly.
I've seen the worst, huh?
But you got Chip Kelly.
Bro, and I was talking shit. I was talking so much shit to Tony. Shout out to Tony, who's an Eagles fan. Talking shit about Chip Kelly. He should never been the GM there as well as the coach. And then sure enough, we hired him. I was like, fuck. But yeah, I just feel like if this is the formula that we're gonna go with, I think we can be just as successful as we were last year. We had Jimmy Garoppolo healthy for 1 year, and he was able to take us to the Super Bowl. I know that's not him alone. Obviously, it's Kyle Shanahan's mind. He uses these tools and these great players that we have. And I just think we've stayed at the top of the heap as we are. We were second in yards per game rushing, second in points, 13th in passing, which still isn't bad. And defensively, I mean, first in yards per game, passing yards per game, second in total yards per game, eighth in points per game. So I think we've upgraded or kept the defense pretty much the same, just gotten younger and got some pieces, cheap pieces on the offense receiver wise that, we're not financially in a burden either. So John Lynch, shout out to you.
One question for you, Josh.
Yes, sir. One answer.
Since we're doing best off seasons, do you think that maintaining equals out to the best off season? Because I have the mind that you maintain the status quo. You may have got a little bit of an upgrade with Trent Williams over Joe Staley, but as a rookie Brandon Ayuk better than Emmanuel Sanders, as a rookie Javon Kinlaw better than DeForest Buckner, with an aging Richard Sherman.
I think that Richard Sherman is still capable enough, even being older, to still produce for us. People still respect him. Maybe not as much as they used to before, where they didn't even toss the ball
to his side.
Field. But people still respect it. And the kind of experience you get from a champion like that, it comes with a lot of positives. I think that's why Ed Reed, right, from the Ravens, was there for so long. I feel like that experience and just the talent that he has. He's a Hall of Famer. Rich Sherman's going to be a Hall of Famer. You don't lose out on that. I think that's a key piece you need to help with some of these younger guys. And Oxrider, you're right. These guys are improving. Both of them are coming off of injuries. They both had surgeries, which is something to look out for. But I think DeForest Buckner, granted, took a couple years before he really came into his own. Last year was just his blowout year.
Yep.
So Javon Kinlaw, hopefully, and Eric Armstead, honestly, has been coming into his own as well. I think him and Buckner kind of came up around the same time. It just happened to be that Buckner had to get paid. Eric Armstead, really wasn't looking for that much. And so we went with Armstead instead of Buckner. But I think for us, my biggest thing is if we can maintain what we've had, I don't think we've lost that much. I think these guys are going to be starters. I think they are going to be able to produce. Kinlaw's, just the footage on him is disgusting. I feel like he is maybe more of an athletic Derek Brown. Derek Brown was just huge and pretty athletic, but this guy's obviously going to be smaller. I think he's got a little bit more that speed to him as well. But Brandon Ayuk, man, Herm Edwards is the coach over there at Arizona State, and he swears by this guy. And considering Kyle Shanahan, he's been able to, work with great receivers. He can see great receivers. He's worked with great receivers in Washington, obviously in Atlanta with Julio Jones and them boys. I just think, you're right. They are untested. I can't say that they're the same as what we were last year, but I feel like we're pretty damn close. And considering that we were just one play away from winning last year, maintaining means going back to the Super Bowl, I think that's kind of
Absolutely.
Yeah, Josh, I definitely, it's interesting pick for sure, because you're saying that since we're all four going to have, takes on what's the best offseason, you're saying they're one of the four best off seasons. I can't necessarily disagree. Like you said, they maintained, and that's not to say that Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't take a step forward, which can be the biggest addition to a team. So, shout out to that. Way to represent, and let's get to it. So, TJ, what do you think is what's your best take for this offseason?
As much as I would like to say, it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I won't go the homer pick.
Low hanging fruit.
I'm gonna say the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh,
nice.
Go ahead, because
yeah.
I spent a lot of time last night prepping for this pod, and I've got four really good teams that I could go either way. But I think the Ravens had the best offseason. They kept being pass rusher in Matt Judon. They re-signed Jimmy Smith, Justin Ellis, and Jihad Ward, who's a good defensive tackle, defensive end hybrid for them. Jimmy Smith is a solid – he's probably their second or third best corner on their team, and they're deep at corner with Marcus Peters, Humphreys, Jimmy Ward, and Brandon Carr.
For $3.5 million only, by the way.
Yep.
Great signing.
Dirt
Great.
cheap,
Love it.
great veteran deal. Then
Great.
they go out and they sign Derek Wolfe from Denver, solid defensive lineman. And then they make the trade for Calais Campbell, aging but still great, still has tread left on the tires. And to top it all off, in the draft, they fill their biggest need in the first round with middle linebacker Patrick Queen out of LSU. Going to replace the whole left by the C.J. Mosley going to the Jets. You fill that spot. Then you come around in the second round, and you get a J.K. Dobbins out of Ohio State, one of the top 3
Steal.
draft,
Yep.
to pair with Mark Ingram, Justice Hill, and Gus Edwards in the backfield. Not to mention Lamar Jackson. We're not leaving him out.
The
And
best runner on
you
that
come-
team.
Right.
Then you say, all right, we got Calais Campbell in free agency. Then we're going to come back with Justin Metabuke to learn under him and to develop him and become a rotational defensive tackle at Texas A&M. Then you say we need some receiver help. So let's go get Devin Duvernay out of Texas and James Porche out of SMU, who has a little bit of an injury. That's why he went so late in the draft. But he's a possible great depth wide receiver for them. And they go and they get another linebacker in Malik Harris, a offensive lineman, Tyree Phillips, and then they steal Geno Stone, a safety out of Iowa State, hard-hitting box safety in the 7th round. They filled all their needs. They didn't lose anybody that is a great loss for their team. I just think they're poised after last year's disappointment to the Tennessee Titans in the playoffs. I think they're poised to make a run and to get to the Super Bowl. And I think they filled all their holes and they did everything they needed to do. I personally don't think there was a better offseason this year.
There's very little I can argue with that. Just to kind of support that. I mean, you have the Ravens lost 5 players. They lost Patrick. I don't know how to say his name. Anwanzwe, whatever that is.
That guy.
Hayden Hurst, Seth Roberts, Josh Bynes. You're talking about players who don't really. I mean, maybe Seth Roberts, who's a wide receiver that no one knows.
Kevin, to echo your point, their biggest loss and the one that's going to hurt the most is they lost Marshall Yonda. He retired.
He retired.
But other than that, he's the only one that I would say that's a loss. All those other guys are just depth pieces.
But what I love that Ravens did is they realized, look, we're really good at something, and so is Lamar Jackson. So let's go ahead and keep surrounding him around people that are going to make him really good. Let's get another – come on, Dobbins was like you're putting icing on the cake. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And then you get Derek Wolfe, Calais Campbell. We already had a great defensive team. Let's just get better at defense. I can't argue that. The only thing I will argue is that the reason why they weren't number 1 is because their division got a lot better too. And I don't think it's going to equal. They might be a better team next year. I don't know if they're going to have a better record next year.
No, I would agree with that. I would agree with that point exactly. Exactly. That division is going to be a dogfight. Everybody's picking Cleveland to be terrible. I mean, excuse me, not Cleveland, Cincinnati to be terrible.
Yeah.
I don't see it. I think they had a lot of injuries last year that hurt them. I think that if they get Jonah Williams back, you get a healthy A.J. Green with a solid quarterback with the rookie Joe Burrow.
Yep.
As long as Joe Mixon doesn't hold out, you still have Tyler Boyd. Their defense isn't going to be good, but their offenses, if they can block somewhat reliably for Joe Burrow, they're going to be
They're not going to go 1-15. They're going to win a couple division games. So that's
they'll
why
be a bottom team in that division, but they won't be a 3 or 4 win team like they were this year. They're going to be a 5, 6, maybe 7 win team.
They
Couldn't
can take
agree,
a
man.
step up.
All right, so we got 49ers and we have Ravens. Those are 2 good choices.
I like that pick. TJ.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. That was a good one, especially because I'm sure it was hard not to pick Tampa Bay. So
It was. But
hey, Stavi, let me see your shirt real quick. Let me see. Happy birthday,
Yeah.
G. She just turned 14 this past
Days
week.
ago, I believe. Yeah.
happy birthday.
So, rest in peace to her and Kobe, man.
Yes,
Love
yes.
the shirt. I want to hear what's your best offseason of the season so far.
All right. So you guys might hate me, but in a wide open AFC East,
Okay.
It's
Can I
not going to
guess?
be the Dolphins.
Can
I
I
won't
guess?
pick the Dolphins.
Can I
Okay.
guess?
You can guess.
Does it start with a B?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go
Yes.
for
No
it.
one circles the wagons.
I had a 1 out of 3 chance,
Buffalo Bills, Buffalo
Right?
Bills, man.
Not the Patriots.
And me just being a homer of the sport itself and knowing the type of competition, just in general, I love to see, a rival of ours, of us, Finn lifers. The Buffalo Bills have done everything right, in my opinion, to take the next step to maintain continuing forward, because they won 10, 11 games last year. They made it to the playoffs. They have a young quarterback on a young contract. I know Kevin loves those.
Yeah.
But they upgraded at receiver. They upgraded in the trenches, drafting AJ Espenza, but also added Mario Addison, who has lots of experience. And something that a lot of people might just not pay attention to, they didn't lose any of their starting 5 offensive linemen. They managed to retain their whole O-line, who is kind of young, and they have another year to honestly get better. Now, through the draft, the Bills went, AJ Spencer, they didn't have a first-round pick. They obviously traded it for, in my opinion, who is a receiver who is worthy of the type of hole that they got him for. Diggs is going to be able to alleviate that run game and gives their QB, more options. But what I really love what they did was in the later rounds, they were able to pair Devin Singletary with Zach Moss, who I think is going to provide a beautiful 1-2 punch for their running attack. Like I said, they have an offensive line that has a chance to stay together, which is, to me, is very important. When you're not adding new pieces, and you have a team that already made the playoffs, you expect to either maintain that same kind of level or enhance it. So they were able to also draft one of my hometown favorites from UCF, Gabriel Davis. Man's a beast. He's one of the most physical, imposing receivers, in my opinion. People all hyped on Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb's size. This man is 6'2", I think like 220, 230, can move. He's one of the most imposing receivers, and they got him in the 4th round.
And he'll beat you deep.
And he's going to beat you deep, correct, because he showed it. He showed it. So, to me, they made so many other additions. Like, I'm over here looking at their roster. They lost Lorenzo Alexander, a great linebacker who retired, but they replaced him with A.J. Klein, who's tremendously smart, has experience, can start games for you. They brought in Josh Norman. Hello. I know he's got some tread on him, but he's a veteran. He's going to help that team. They need veterans for that roster.
Yep.
The key is there, though, Savius. He's their number 2. They got
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Josh Norman doesn't have to guard their best player. I think
Exactly.
True.
And they got EJ Gaines, who is a tremendous nickel, in my opinion. They got him for great value, and he's going to be their 3rd guy. And if someone gets injured, they have a corner that could step in, and right away and be able to guard teams who have 2 elite receivers. So, in my opinion, the Buffalo Bills will win 10 games again. In a weak AFC East, they're going to be hungry.
You think AFC East is weak?
Yes.
I do. I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree with you.
I mean, listen, these guys were able to be successful, and just looking at it now, they were 23rd in points per game, 24th in yards per game, 26th.
The Bills?
passing
You saying the
yards.
Bills?
Yeah, the Bills per game, and were able to have 10 games. They were 8th in the rushing attack, with 128 rushing yards per game.
Yeah.
So
I would never argue that the AFC East was weak last year. I just think that out of that division, 3 of those teams had good off seasons.
they did, but it's going to be unproven. So the Dolphins have a young Tua that still has to prove himself and be healthy at this point. Make sure that he stays healthy.
Yeah.
The Jets still have Sam Darnold, a young kid, still unproven.
Still
The
getting mono.
Patriots lost their guy and went to Tampa. So, so I mean, legitimately, he's right. It is the weakest. I think it's going to be – I think, though, this year will be a rise of these young quarterbacks. I think everybody's just gonna have to step up, and honestly, everybody's gonna be looking at the Patriots in the AFC East to see if Bill Belichick what he sees in this Stidham kid, because everybody's wondering why they didn't draft, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Davi, I love the Bills pick. I think when you think of off seasons, it's okay. What can we do to get better, and what can we do to not get worse?
Correct.
And
now,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
So one caveat, right? I know this goes in line more with Kevin's ideology of stockpiling QBs, which I agree you should. Do you think there's a concern in them drafting Jake Fromm, which honestly for a 5th round pick, it's not bad. It's not bad. This kid can play.
Yeah.
Do you think that they look at him as somebody to be a backup for a young starter right now, or somebody who might be the heir apparent if why can't I remember his name right now?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. Yeah, my bad.
Josh Allen can't produce. I always think of the defensive end, the Kentucky kid, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I always think that.
Same draft, by the way. Same draft.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So do you think what do you think about the Jake Fromm pick? Do you think that's more of a safety? We want to have a guy to maybe learn behind, or just a stockpile QBs like Kevin loves? Or do you think it's something of maybe there's something that we see in Josh Allen that we see something that we like more in Jake Fromm?
Hold on, Savi, before you answer that, I want to make sure that I make this clear. When it comes to overstocking quarterbacks, I only say that when you don't have a quarterback.
Okay.
Like Miami's had 30 quarterbacks since Dan Marino. You have Cleveland that had so many quarterbacks since, I don't even know what good quarterback they had. Kozar, I feel like I'm talking out of my ass right now. So just those teams that clearly are missing quarterbacks for the last, decade or so, they should be drafting 2 every year until they hit. But a team like Buffalo, I think they truly believe in Josh Allen. So with that, with that being said, I'll let Savi take that from there. But if I was Buffalo, I like the Jake Fromm pick because it was a 5th round pick, and I think they're looking at a 4-year backup that they can pay a rookie scale, and just be there for just because Josh Allen's a running quarterback, so if he does get hurt, he can cover a couple games. But no, I think it's very much just so I can pay a backup quarterback cheap as fuck.
I agree with Kevin 100%.
Real quick, man.
That makes sense.
I don't think he can. I still think he can get cut. They've set up their roster to be so.
Jake Fromm.
Correct, because they have I believe still Matt Barkley, who's still under 30.
Yeah,
and he actually threw last year for them when Josh Allen got banged up. And like I said, I know I'm a Dolphins fan, but I honestly like that they've brought competition to that quarterback position.
Yeah.
Because we've all agreed you keep drafting quarterbacks. You don't have to keep drafting first rounders.
No.
But you know what? We want Josh Allen looking behind him saying, look, there's a few guys that want this spot for a team that can make the playoffs this year. And if I fuck up, there's going to be we're in Buffalo where, the environment can get a little hectic if I start being flaky with my decision making and losing games. So.
I didn't realize that Matt Barkley was there. It's all good. He's going to be out that door because I think.
Oh, I know. It's just.
I think Jake Fromm's younger, and I think.
Of course, but it's just.
I think he can. That's the thing is, I think that kid can produce. I just don't think he's a starter, clearly. But
yeah.
But I mean, yeah, and I mean, for me, see you, Kevin, you mentioned it in having, you feel like stockpiling quarterbacks for teams that don't have QBs, and I totally get that. I think also though, if it's the BPA and you have somebody who you've seen play who's successful, and you have the means to have another kid on your roster that is potential trade bait or just any sort of collateral for another team, because we've seen how hungry people can be for QBs.
Look at Jimmy G.
Jimmy G somewhat successful. For sure. It's crazy. Cam Newton ain't got a job though still. So
that's all physical.
Oh, because that's because there's a surplus of QBs right now.
Right now, yeah.
There is I've said this for months. this is like the era of like QB being produced. Back in the day, you didn't play quarterback all year round. Nowadays, these kids have 7-on-7s. They're playing football and playing quarterback all year round. So maybe back in the day, in the late 90s, early 2000s, you played your football season, you practiced during spring ball in high school. You know what I mean? Yep. Now, my son's he can play all year round. Literally, here in Florida, in California, Texas, and southern states, they play all year round. They have the 7-on-7 circuit now is like AAU basketball. That's what it's compared to.
Yeah.
That's what the coaches do all the recruiting. So you have guys that are high school guys that are getting as much throwing the ball as much against defenses that guys probably wouldn't have seen until they're a junior in college, So the position is more advanced on top of the fact that the college game is starting to infiltrate in the NFL slowly but surely. You see a lot more teams running the spread, so
more RPO, all that.
More RPO, more quick passing game, quick games, no huddles. So think
about it. But how long ago? How many? Like it wasn't that long ago where people were dying for quarterbacks. Like teams were just thirsty for
drafting Ryan Tannehill's in the first round.
And it just happened to be these last few seasons where it seems like we've seen people produce. Kids like Josh Allen produce. Kids like Sam Darnold have looked promising, where now a kid like Jake Fromm, who, again, coming out of Georgia, looking pretty good. I mean, there was a lot of promise. I honestly don't know if I would have thought he was going to be a 5th-round pick. I thought he would have gone higher.
Yeah.
But there were just guys that superseded him, not only QB-wise, but just players, just defensively, and especially with this year with all these wide receivers. For teams that don't need a QB, you're gonna fall.
Jake Fromm doesn't have the arm talent that he needs to be a successful starter in the NFL.
He is not a generational talent.
If you have no arm talent, think about it. I think Jake
he has the brains. He's gonna. He reminds me of a lot of Colt McCoy. He's gonna be one of those guys who's gonna have a 10, 12 NFL career.
Latch on for 10 years.
Don't really do anything. Come in, fill in, spot start, and just live
off. He was in the Bay.
I would love to do that. I would love to do that.
Make all the money.
Hey, listen, they made a whole show about that. Blue Mountain State. It was about the second state quarterback.
Yo, shout out Blue Mountain State. Yo,
Blue Mountain State. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's like 2-3 seasons. It's ridiculously stupid. Bad. Fucking bad. Anyway.
Love it.
But I mean,
right, Kev, so who's your
finally, actually, right? Let's get to the money pick here. The man has been waiting for.
What angle are you going, sir?
I know where he's going.
No. Would he go for like me? Would he go for?
I'm really having a hard time with it. I don't know if you guys I keep turning this way because I keep trying to change my pick. And I'm struggling. I want to go Tampa Bay, but I think it's just too low of hanging fruit. So before I make a case on anything else, I'll say if you would have just had the Tampa Bay roster and added Tom Brady, they're automatically Super Bowl contenders. And not only did they do that, but they drafted arguably the best O-line and brought Rob and didn't lose much of anything. So that's low hanging fruit. They are arguably anyone could have picked.
Hold on. And this is not to. Sorry to interrupt. Not to piggyback. Do you remember? Do you know what they were ranked offensively?
No. Tell me.
They were 3rd in points per game. They were 3rd in yards per game. They were 1st in passing yards per game.
Music to my ears.
Offensively, they were just the creme de la creme. I'll be honest. All right. Defensively, they were dog shit. They were 15th and the bottom 15th. Defensively, they're shit. But then they added these pieces. They got fucking was it Antoine
Winfield.
Winfield. Who behind, I think Xavier McKinney was the other just standout safety.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted Tristan just for all the reasons you were saying, Ken. Sorry.
But I
just want to rank off those rankings because I was looking at them too. But
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna go with them, so I was like, let
No,
me
the
just.
only team I think there's two. It's funny because Rashad Perriman is one of the people that played on the field the most and got let go. But is he really going to be missed? I don't think so.
He filled that
and then
spot
you
with
have-
Tyler Johnson.
Exactly.
Correct.
And then you have Carl Nassib, who's a third, 3-4 outside linebacker that's going to the Raiders.
I like him.
He's
That's
gonna
actually
be-
probably one of their biggest losses.
But no. We drafted his replacement last year, Anthony Nelson out of Iowa.
Yeah.
you gotta hope he steps up.
End
So
of the
like,
year.
I'm not disagreeing because I agree that I think that they're clearly like I said, the low hanging fruit. And then you have Peyton Barber, running back, that now signed to the Redskins. So, like I said,
But they drafted Kashawn, I think, in the second round, right?
Third
exactly.
round, Keshawn
Third
Vaughn.
round.
So clap to Tampa Bay, but we'll go here. We'll sit here and say, did they maintain? Like you said, they had the third best offense and everything. So how many more wins are they going to get? I think they're going to be clearly a better team, but in terms of wins, I don't know what the difference is going to be, and that's what leads me to my pick. What made me differentiate what made the best offensive or offseason in terms of free agents and draft picks is what team is going to have the most pluses and wins. And it's going to sound like a homer, but I'm going with Miami. And the reason why is I think they can they can be a 9 to 10 win team next year. And this is why. When they went into the offseason, they had the most money and the most picks, right? When you have that kind of situation, all you hope for is that they address needs and and the people that they sign with big money is to make a strength of the team, right? They use their money to fortify their secondary in Brian Jones. They lost Rashad Jones, but he was out half the year anyways, an injury, if not more.
Yeah, he barely played, man.
He barely played. We signed Shaq Lawson. We get Kyle Van Noy. We get who else we get? We got
I think Emmanuel Ogba is one of the steals of free agency.
Emmanuel Ogba, and that's all on defense. Not to mention we signed Ted Karras. We signed Eric Flowers. We signed who else is another? It's another lineman. Ted Karras.
Offensive lineman.
And we
they got Winston. No, Flowers. Eric Flowers. I'm sorry.
Eric Flowers. Yeah. So those two. So that was just offseason free agents. So they addressed a lot of secondary needs and offensive line needs before they even got to the draft. Then you go into the draft and you go, okay, what's the best thing you can do going into a draft is get a franchise quarterback for a team that doesn't have a franchise quarterback.
One in a lifetime generational talent.
One in a lifetime generation, right? Even if he doesn't work out, given the team that we've now supplied Ryan Fitzpatrick with, which is
traffic. I like it.
Fitztraffic. I know.
Fitztraffic.
It's tragic.
I know, right? Oh, don't tell me that. We drafted with our picks. We drafted 1, 2, 3 offensive linemen in addition to the 3 offensive linemen we signed.
Yep.
So now you're talking about a weakness. Our weakness going into the offseason was offensive line, right? And defensive line. We signed defensive line. We drafted and signed offensive line. We got a franchise quarterback. Our strength now is we have 2 of the highest paid cornerbacks, not because we overpaid them, because they are legit cornerbacks.
No, they do deserve it, in my opinion.
They do deserve it. If we didn't pay them, somebody else was going to.
Correct.
So, and we drafted Noah Igbinoghene with the 30th pick, so that makes it even more of a strong suit. So, with all that being said, I think Miami, and it might be a fact that they just lost so many games last year. We're 5-11, I think we were. That I think with the choices they made, they're just gonna move themselves to a 9-10-1 team, especially with considering the fact that Savi said himself that AFC East is a little bit weaker than most divisions. So, I wouldn't have said they're my number one. But based on, Ravens would have been my number one. And I had trouble because I wanted to pick Broncos as well. And the Saints, but Saints did a lot of maintaining, just similar to San Fran. Yeah. And, Cardinals are probably my other, honorable mentions for the fact that you give your franchise quarterback arguably the best wide receiver in the game. It's, you really don't have to do anything else after that.
Correct.
Good job. So, to move on, though, that's my pick. To move forward, I would say
one thing, Kev, I want to add a couple of honorable mentions. You mentioned Denver, which I totally agree with. And the one team that no one mentioned, and I think did a great and phenomenal job too, was my honorable mention, was actually my third team, the Indianapolis Colts.
Yes.
I thought about them.
Yep. It was them and Denver for me.
Yep.
I don't like the Phillip thing, man. I don't. There's something about it I don't like. I get the comfort, but what's Indianapolis Colts? Is that an outside? Is that a dome or an outside?
Inside the dome.
Inside, yep.
Dome. Okay. So, because his arm's getting weak.
Yeah, I agree. But to add Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, and Julian Blackman and Jacob Eason in the draft, get DeForest Buckner
in his prime
to
right
fill
now.
a corner spot, and they just picked up Trey Burton from that got cut from the Bears.
Yeah.
They're trying to elevate. They
got
see
a
their
strong
times
running
now.
game. Marlon Mack and homeboy who they drafted, what's his name? Forgot.
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor. God, that's a nasty backfield.
And they still have Nyheim Hines.
Yep.
Correct. Nyheim, who is to me is actually underrated.
Agreed.
He's really good. He's solid.
Great pass catcher out of the backfield.
All right, so fellas, we talked about our team. We talked about the teams that we feel did the best, right?
Yeah.
In our opinion. Now let's move on to the teams that we feel did the worst.
The teams we want to shit on.
Basically.
I'm gonna start. Can I start? I'm gonna make it quick. Just kind of.
Of course.
We'll go around.
Yeah.
I
think we're gonna be similar in a lot of these picks too. So.
I think so too.
Yeah. I think we know there's a bottom barrel, which honestly a lot of teams did pretty good. They might not have been the best, but they definitely upgraded. You know, even with the Dolphins you mentioned, they're going from a 5-win team. I think that if you're going over under, it's definitely going to be over. I think a lot of teams that were really good maintained their greatness. It's just a matter of now the games got to be played, and we'll see how that goes. But there's some teams that I think we can all agree made moves that were questionable. And at least as of now, because we don't know what kind of other offseason moves are going to happen. We don't know what kind of people are going to get picked up or traded, dropped, signed. But with that being said, Kevin, who do you have?
I'm going to say this, and the reason why I wanted to take it is because I've been waiting about 20 years to shit on him.
and have legitimate reasons to just be able to shit on
legitimate reasons, and also know that this is probably the one year that I won't have to bite my tongue. You know, hopefully, I'm still I even with all the shitty offseason they've had,
It's
and we're
Belichick.
Exactly. New England Patriots that I'm talking about. Even with all that, I still think there's a chance just because they have Belichick, and I don't want to discredit his greatness.
2 tight ends and a kicker.
But with that being said, let's not act like Belichick has drafted great for the last 5 to 7 years. Okay,
10 years.
5 exactly. So 10 years, and not to mention, so he really didn't draft great. They didn't draft the quarterback. So that tells you 2 things: either they hated the quarterback class, or they really believe in Stidham. Right, the guy who's only made 5 passes in his career, and one of them was a pick 6. So we'll see. Right, and on top of that, the problems with New England wasn't a quarterback last year. It was playmakers. It was, do we have guys that are going to make plays on the outside? And all they have is Julian Edelman coming off an injury. They lost Rob Gronkowski. They lost Kyle Van Noy on defense. Ted Karras. You're talking safety Deron Harmon, which is on the field for 65% of their plays last year. You're talking Boo Allen, which was a 4-down defensive tackle. So they love their defensive tackles, and they lost that.
No, they lost Danny Shelton. They signed Bo Allen. Bo Allen was in Tampa.
Oh, my bad. You're right. They signed Bo Allen. My bad. They signed Bo Allen. They picked up Brian Hoyer. They lost Philip Dorsett.
No. What? Sorry. What?
Yeah, Brian Hoyer, which reminds me. Actually, Brian Hoyer reminds me of the dude from Georgia.
Jake Fromm.
I think once in a lifetime generational talent.
Right now, Jake Fromm will probably be better than Brian Hoyer.
I don't think so.
We'll see. But not to mention, they also lose Jamie Collins to the Lions. They lose Danny Shelton to the Lions. It almost feels like this is the first time that Belichick actually didn't have the run. Like, you clearly saw which players were attracted to what coaches, Brian Flores or Matt Patricia, because a lot of these players could have stayed in New England and they said, "Nope, I'm gonna go play with these guys." So, New England, I'm sorry. I hope you go 0-16. No offense. Actually, no offense a lot. I fucking, I respect you guys. I hate you guys.
It's like they couldn't replace what they lost for the first time.
They didn't even.
Everyone knew that it was time. Like the players and the organization. It's a reset for them.
So to piggyback off that was my number 1 choice. as well. You know, I think, you know, they picked up that kid Duggar. They picked up Affinary Jennings.
Yeah,
Anthony Jennings.
Anthony, from Alabama, which I
He's
think
nice.
any kid coming out of the Alabama program, you've given him a decent start to, you know, I don't know if he's going to start this season, but most likely he's going to be there coming out of that program. But for everything that Kevin just said, they lost so – I honestly feel like they maybe just never had a chance because they didn't have a first-round pick.
They didn't have salary cap.
None.
They did have a first-round pick. They traded it.
They traded it.
Yep.
Because
Because they didn't
more.
have picks. Now, you know what the funny thing? Belichick really did Belichick though. He kept trading back, get more picks, which is what he does. He just doesn't do well with the draft picks. And until he proves us otherwise, we know he's a great coach. We don't know if he's a great drafter, and he hasn't proven that. So
well, and I guess the argument, right, is always you know, is it Tom Brady? Is it Belichick? I feel like most people can agree that it was kind of a combination of the both. It was a great system for Tom Brady, but Tom Brady was a great player in this
Right time, right place.
You know, but now more than ever, if you look at, for instance, Tom Brady has to, just like in New England, had to deal with somebody who controlled the people that were around him, right? The pieces that were around him. I don't know if Bruce Arians in Tampa, he's not there's a GM in Tampa, correct? Right? Belichick is the guy drafting these guys. Similar to, you mentioned Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly was the guy that was coaching and drafting players, and it usually doesn't work out. But most people are not Bill Belichick. Granted, Bill Belichick in the last 10 years hasn't drafted well, but he's still been able to produce. Now, in the time that he was able to produce, he had a quarterback named Tom Brady, but he also had a kid, Julian Edelman. He had Amendola that was actually producing pretty well coming out of the Rams for a moment, and he had Gronkowski. He doesn't have any of those pieces now.
nothing.
And so I feel like all eyes are going to be on Bill Belichick and that franchise because he controls that franchise. Tom Brady is playing in a system under Bruce Arians' system with fucking pieces, man. And all the pressure is going to be on Tom Brady to produce, but the franchise, I feel like, is not going to hang as much on Tom Brady as much as Bill Belichick's weight of the Patriots on his shoulders. He has to produce. Because if Tom Brady does better than Bill Belichick, everybody's going to look at Bill Belichick and say, see, it wasn't just you, man. This guy is able to play. And he didn't make any moves whatsoever that says that he's going to secure himself as somebody that's going to be able to say, yes, I'm able to – it's all me. I'm the guy that does these things.
Can I add one little – TJ, go ahead.
I've watched and grown up watching the Patriots for too long
to count them out.
A true New England kid.
I love it.
No. Listen, I will be the first one to tell you, I do not like the New England Patriots. I've come to respect them and the greatness that they've displayed over the last 20 years.
They cheat, but sorry, I'm allergic.
Cheeto.
I think there's dust in here, something.
But what I will say is that, yes, I think we will get a 1-year reprieve from the Patriots being a great dominant franchise in the AFC. But I do not think it's going to the demise is very short-lived, because I think Belichick is about to pull one of the greatest heists that we will see in the draft next year when he gets
Trevor Lawrence, right?
If the Jacksonville Jaguars aren't the worst team in the NFL, the New England Patriots are going to pay a boatload of money to get Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Saying it right now.
I see it.
You notice they spent their defense isn't bad.
It isn't.
It's great.
Weapons.
Not that it isn't bad. Their defense is great. If you look at their rankings, they did amazing last year.
Yeah, but let's pump the brakes a little bit on their defense.
They played the Dolphins twice, and they
were the worst 8-0 team in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because they played nobody. And it showed towards the second half of the season. but I think that Belichick is a great schemer and a master of. Number one, he's great in free agency. He's great at turning a sorry veteran into a serviceable player.
Schemer.
So I think they'll be a 6-10, 7-9 team in that low.
TJ, I kind of
That
just
tend to,
my bad.
go ahead.
No, I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say, like, I agree with you that with them, Belichick does do a great job of signing free agents, but the only issue is that they really didn't sign much. They signed Marcus Lee, they signed Bow Island, they signed Brian Hoyer, they signed Cody Davis, Adrian Phillips,
I
like
totally agree with you.
Brandon,
Real quick,
Cole,
guys.
a bunch of people who are nobodies.
Real quick, call me
But
crazy.
Totally
Call me
agree
crazy.
with you. Totally agree with you. But there's a reason for that. They didn't have any cap space. They're taking one.
Be bad.
They're taking one out on the chin this year because they have to pay Brady's signing bonus. They're eating $13 million from his contract from last year. Now, next year, after they have amassed all these draft picks, they'll let's just say they finish 7-9. At 7-9, the Bucks this year with a 14th pick. So between 10 and 14,
Yeah.
with the draft picks they've amassed, then to top it all off, next year they will have $100 million in salary cap space.
I agree. So, but hey, enough Patriot talk. We can always
Dude,
talk about the Patriots. And
30 seconds. Give me
Okay,
30 seconds.
Go for
Like,
it. Go for it.
Let's hear it.
am I insane to think that unless the season is like complete shambles the first month or two,
Yeah,
that these fuckers can't slide in 8-8, 9-7, and win the fucking division? Our division's weak.
No.
I don't think
I'll say right now, the Patriots are not winning your division.
But I could see one of these Buffalo Bills flopping and
No.
Dolphins not ready. Like what?
The
Adam
Buffalo
Gase is gonna take the Jets over the Patriots?
Why the Buffalo Bills had the best? Why they had the best offseason?
No, I know, but I'm just saying, in a crazy world, can't you just see them maybe sliding in?
In a
8-9,
crazy
9-7?
world, anybody can lose. In a crazy world,
scared.
it's a puncher's chance.
Savi's nervous.
Savi. No,
Savi's nervous.
I respect Savi because just like me as Miami Dolphin fans, we've seen for 20 years that we don't that. So until we see it, we're not going to see it. So.
All right, but listen, you guys were also playing against a Hall of Fame quarterback who is no longer in that division.
And for some reason, I like him. I don't. It's weird how that happens. But
I've always,
Fucking love him.
But
I've always loved him. New England fans, unfortunately, can be a little bit obnoxious. All right, remember him
for
with
sure.
the Wicked, the beer, and then it's Tom Brady. All right, it's the beers and the coffee. And
So
the
we rolled the dice 10 times. None of you guys see the Pats winning that division?
Oh, no, no,
8-8, 9-7.
Listen, it's the NFL. I'm not ruling anything out.
Any given Sunday, right?
No,
I'm not ruling anything out.
Hold on. Before that moves on, are we seriously saying, guys, that we think that the New England Patriots with Stidham is going to win that division?
They're getting Cam. Just kidding.
Do any of us honestly believe that they have really a chance of winning that? I
hope, man. I hope it's time.
I will say,
even with Tua, unless if Tua's playing, even with Tua, I think they'll still beat out or have a better record than the Patriots.
I'll give it a 5% chance because it's Bill Belichick.
And 5 is low. 5 is saying crazy day.
Now, granted, I don't think that they're going to have a horrible – I actually don't think they're going to drop as low. I think they're going to have to do what you said, TJ, before, which is like give just a shit ton of stuff to go up to draft somebody like Trevor Lawrence or Fields. Because I don't think that they're going to – just because of Bill Belichick, I don't think they're going to be a 2-win, 3-win, even 4-win team. I think they're going to do – I think they could go 7-9. I think they can go even maybe 8-8. I just think that the Bills, I think somebody like, for my boy Carlton, another friend of mine who's a Jets fan, for their sake, Le'Veon Bell, Sam Darnold can get some things going in New York. But honestly, right now it's the Bills. It's their division to take. They have to be the ones to step up and win this division right now.
Mm-hmm.
New England,
But the problem with the Bills is the Bills are going to play a first-place schedule this year.
They have one of the toughest schedules.
That's true.
A second-place schedule. So their schedule is going to be a little Savi's not wrong in saying could 8-8 steal it. 9-7, you're gonna have to get to 10 wins to lock down that division. But I'd say it's a 5% chance.
Heard.
All right,
So
let's move on. Fuck the
let's
Patriots.
push the conversation in a different direction.
Yeah. Wait, before
My
we
bad, guys. My bad, guys.
Josh, do you
You're
just
good.
want to go ahead and say that yours is Patriots as well?
Oh yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
okay, we'll do that.
It
We'll
was-
do that.
If we're
Patriots
talking
is
about
on my
honorable
list too.
mentions, and I'm sure this will be somebody else's worst. For me, and again, TJ, I mentioned this before. The teams that you were looking at too, and I don't know who you ended up picking, but Jacksonville and Green Bay were some other teams that were a little bit of head scratchers. But we'll see.
We'll see if anyone brings it up. Savi, you're actually up next.
Cool. All right, so I might surprise you guys with this one. When we're thinking worst or best, we wanna add wins, right? If you're the best, or add the ability to get to the next level. And then you see some of these playoff teams, and I think there's one or two of them that can kind of like slow down the kind of seasons they had comparable to last year. So my selection is, you signed, even though I love you, Ryan Tannehill, I fucking love you, but signing this man to a 4-year, $130 million contract without paying Derrick Henry. You lose Jarrell Casey. Listen to these names: Jarrell Casey, Delaney Walker, Jack Conklin. These are Pro Bowl type players that you're losing. Do you think that they can win 10, 11 games again this year, the Tennessee Titans?
I love it. I'm not only am I not surprised, I completely agree. I completely agree with it. I don't necessarily love Tannehill like you do though.
Okay. I think he's serviceable. Like, quarterbacks, if you're above average, you got to pay them. It's just the reality of the market.
You don't have to. You can draft Jake Fromm in the 5th round.
I know.
But
anyway,
here's my thing. Here's my thing. Who was going to give Ryan Tannehill that contract on the market?
I don't know.
I don't like.
At the Dolphins.
That's my issue. I believe there's some outs. Like, it's basically a 2-year deal.
There is
30 or 40 million. But this first year, the hit is like 28, 29 million. Like,
you got 62 or 67 guaranteed or some shit.
Literally, the quarterback market was so robust this year.
It was insane.
Waited. Why? For me, I would have just franchise tagged him, and it would have been a cheaper price.
TJ, can I just say one thing really quick? You can get you could have gotten Cam Newton for 19 mil, brother.
For $5 million, he would have took it to start for the Tennessee Titans playoff team.
Come on, and you would have spent another 28 on fucking talent. So, you know what? Couldn't agree more, Simon.
Hey, it's Tannehill's agent, bro. Tannehill's agent.
No, and like I said, the man deserved it. He did ball out. Like,
I don't think he balled out.
Didn't ball out.
He controlled his variables, sir. That's all you got to do as an athlete.
I can respect that.
I get into this argument with my son all the time because he's got his Madden thing, and they got all these cards and things nowadays. And
Ultimate team, son.
All these badges.
Ultimate team.
And he's reading out his ultimate team, and I'm like, I don't even want. I said, did you replace Ryan Tannehill yet? He goes, no. I was like, then I don't want to talk to you about your ultimate team.
He's not the ultimate.
You can't throw less than 23 passes a game and be an ultimate quarterback. No, he made the plays that he had to make at the right time. I'll give him.
Savi, I know you love Tannehill. Can I ask you one quick question? Who do you think was a better quarterback, Tannehill or Trent Dilfer?
It's crazy. In an age where these guys, we think they're fucking bad, but they're throwing 25 touchdowns and 4,000 yards with 60+ field goal percentage, and we think they're trash. So I think Tannehill has had a better career than Dilfer, but the guy won a Super Bowl. So
all I'm saying, you said serviceable, right? And you're talking about Tannehill, who had a phenomenal running game and a great defense. Trent Dilfer had obviously probably the greatest defense and a decent run game. He's the definition of serviceable and the best, and one of the best who've ever done it as a serviceable quarterback. Tannehill, I don't think is that legit, is all I'm saying. Like, to get that contract.
Now,
is he better than Brad Johnson?
Yes. Dude, Tanny can run for 400 yards a year. He fucking
Is he
throws for
though?
4,000 yards. Like his numbers are solid, man. You look at it. What he's in his 8th year now, and the guy's about to have like
No, he's 32.
30,000.
Yeah, he's 32. He's
He's
in
about
his
to have 30,000 passing yards. Like, come on, man.
yeah, but he was given the green light from the start of him playing, and they drew up a bunch of plays for him to get trash can stat numbers. Come on, we're Dolphin fans. We saw it.
We had the worst offensive line in like history when he was the quarterback for our team.
I get it. Don't get me wrong. I don't shit. I'm gonna go back to it. I probably shit on Tannehill too much.
And he took so many fucking hits, Kev, and he balled out still.
I don't mind Tannehill. Again, I don't mind Tannehill. It's the number and the amount of money that dude has made.
I know.
That bothers me. I don't think everyone will get your money as an athlete. I'm not. If I step back as a personal person, I'm like, do you? Now, if I put my feet in a general manager's shoes or a franchise shoes, I'm going. There's no way in hell I'm paying.
Shout out to his wife Lauren. She's hot.
There's no way I'm paying him 2 different type of $100 million contracts. It's just not going to happen. Especially when he's not going to come out here and win me games.
Now he's not worth the money, but so no one expected the jump he made, right? Last year to take that job and literally hold on to it and to have Marcus Mariota lose his career.
Mariota was on hot rocks coming into the season.
Yeah, I think that's why they brought him in and they traded for him.
But did you guys think he was going to perform like he did? Be honest. No, right?
Much. That's my argument, is that he stayed healthy, which is probably the biggest credit that I can give him.
And he was willing to make the throws that Mariota wouldn't.
I think it's more of a knock on Mariota than it is than the credit on Tannehill, especially the recent. That's why Michael was so. He mentioned the egregious contract that Mariota just got in Oakland, because it's a knock on Mariota and the step that he did not take. But anyways, you're right. I love the pick.
Worse. Still love you, Tanny. Still love you.
Still love you, bro.
TJ, wrap it up, man. Who do you think had the worst offseason? I'm actually looking forward to this.
I could have took some low-hanging fruit with the Jacksonville Jaguars, with the loss of Calais Campbell trading away Jalen Ramsey, trading away A.J. Bouye. You can't get anything for Leonard Fournette, and you still have a player in Yannick Ngakoue who refuses to play for your franchise. So that was the low-hanging fruit that I could have taken.
Yeah.
But going off the theme of potential playoff teams that could fall off the map this year, I'm going with the Green Bay Packers. I think they were a fraudulent 13-3. I believe,
say, bro.
6. I'm gonna lay out the case for you. Their offense got worse under LaFleur. They believe they were 6 or 7-1 in one-score games, which that'll flip next year.
7-1.
Yep. And that'll flip next year. That's a stat that's pretty consistent. 7-1 in one-score games is really, really good. Their division got better.
It did.
Everybody in their division improved. Whether it's the Bears picking up Nick Foles, and they were smart enough not to pick up Mitchell Trubisky's 5th-year option. The Minnesota Vikings had a great draft. Detroit will get Matthew Stafford back healthy this year with all the additions they've made in the draft. And in free agency, bringing over a lot of guys from New England. And they lost their middle linebacker. Green Bay did. They lost Brian Bulaga, who was their starting right tackle.
Yep.
The only real addition they've made in free agency is signing Christian Kirksey, who was an often injured linebacker from the Cleveland Browns. And then in the draft, I don't see one starter on their team. Not one. Not one guy is going to come in and start for them next year. Not one. I don't see them winning their division. I think last year they should have probably finished, maybe get 10 wins, 9-7. I think they're a 9 or 10 win team. I think they will not win their division, and they'll be fighting to get into the wild card next year. The NFC has improved too much, and they didn't improve at all.
TJ, I have a question for you. It's funny, I'm sure all you guys, you guys being lifers, we saw all the NFL takes after their first round draft and how everyone was so shocked they took Jordan Love. And if I'm correct, I put it on wax. I said, look, if Jordan Love is there for them to take, they're going to take him. And it was. So I'm just gonna let y'all know I was so happy about that because when it happened, I felt, I was like, I bet.
Vindicated.
Yeah, I got one right.
Put it on the board.
Put it on exactly on wax. No, but the reason why I say that, are you okay with that pick? And to follow that up, what do you think about the whole them not taking a wide receiver pick throughout the entire fucking draft?
I'm
Incredible.
That's part of the reason why I feel like
It's
they
dirty,
worst
like-
season. I'm okay with the Jordan Love pick.
Mhm.
And here's why. Number one, he doesn't have to play right away. The backup quarterback is a very important position. Aaron Rodgers is declining. We all admit that. He's pretty injury prone for one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play the game. He gets hurt on a pretty regular basis, at least
How many collarbones does he have?
a year. He's hurt his collarbone twice. A couple of years ago, it was his knee and his leg.
Mhm.
So I'm okay with the Jordan Love pick.
Mhm.
Not address the receiver position throughout the entire draft, and one of the best receiver drafts in recent history is just unthinkable to me. And to think that a often injured and journeyman in Devin Funchess is going to be your big free agent signing in the wide receiver position. Only thing I can think is that they're going super duper run heavy this year.
Yep.
And that's why I picked A.J. Dillon, and they're just going to try to pound the rock down people's throats and play similarly to the 49ers, and the floor comes from that Kyle Shanahan tree. But I think it's going to be a battle taking the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands like that. So we'll see.
We'll see. All right, we're done with our best and worst of the offseason. We're gonna move on to one quick segment. It's gonna be a 30-second for each lifer to kind of say a segment I like to call on wax, made up by TJ. But
Love it.
Put it on wax, baby.
on wax, inspired by all of us, man. So we're gonna start off, Joshua, on wax. What are you gonna say for this episode, for this entire segment? What you got?
So on wax, this is kind of leading up to the podcast that we're going to be doing tomorrow, Kev, which is with my boy Mikey Conlon. He's an amateur MMA fighter. He actually trains out of, I believe it's called Fusion Excel, out of Ocoee here in Orlando. Some great fighters, Jacare, Platinum Mike Perry, come out of there, who are fighters in the UFC. And there's actually another, which we'll talk about tomorrow. It's young up and coming fighter, which unfortunately at the top of my head I can't remember. But I think that May 9th we have a UFC 249 card coming up. It's the only sports that's going to be happening so far right now. I think it's going to be one of the highest pay-per-view buys for UFC and for ESPN, just because it's going to be the only thing to watch. And I think I'm curious to see what those numbers are going to be. And they literally have fights. It's Saturday, then they have another fight Wednesday, another fight card on Saturday again. They're trying to knock out these fights. I'm curious to see what these numbers for ESPN and for ESPN Plus are going to be looking like. And I think, I'm just happy to have sports back. So
Yes,
to
sir.
put it on wax, I guess I think I'm gonna call like, I think it's gonna be like just shy of 1 million pay-per-view buys, even just with this 249 card. And granted, 1 million buys was, I believe, what Khabib and Conor did when they fought. So a huge fight that was. This has a lot of potential to have that, I think, as well, with all the cards, with all the fights they have.
Love it, man. I can't wait to do that podcast tomorrow. Really excited about it, man. Fuck yeah. All right, Xavier, on the wax. What do you got to say?
I want to keep it football related since that's our topic, was our topic today. A lot of people think Cam Newton, he wants to be a starter in this league. It might not happen. We're not going to have a preseason. We don't know yet, but I don't know if there'll be 4 preseason games. So QBs are going to be healthy starting the season. Am I crazy to think that Cam Newton maybe might have to succumb to being a backup? He's going to force to. TJ said it earlier. We're in a deep quarterback era. There's a lot of average guys that teams want to stay committed to. And there's just a lot of young guys that a franchise would be crazy to, like, the Darnold, the Josh Allens, the Garoppolos. I can see Cam Newton not getting a job, being forced to be a backup. I'm putting it on wax. And I love you, Cam. You do deserve your ex-MVP, but it's just to me, it's because of what's happening. This pandemic, it's hurting your stock. These guys are gonna get hit in August or over the summer and stuff. It's gonna be a little different. So guys might be a little bit more healthier. Like I said, there's a lot of good quarterbacks right now out there. So I think you're gonna have to lower your standards and maybe try to be a backup, man.
I love it. So you're saying on wax, man, Cam is not going to start the season starting. Arguably, if he does get on the team, he's going to be as a backup. I don't think he gets
tired. I don't think he gets tired until the QB gets injured.
That's what I would say, Josh.
I agree with you, Josh. I don't think you can bring Cam Newton in as your backup. He's too high profile.
I'm scared. I don't know, but are we going to get another Colin Kaepernick?
Where would he go that he wouldn't push the starter? Where would he go that you wouldn't have the starter looking over their shoulder?
Tampa Bay?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But just like Savi says, the money. Is he willing to take backup money? And I think right now he's not going to. And so
he's still getting paid his good amount of chunk change from
the guaranteed
Carolina.
money he had.
Yeah. Guarantee from Carolina.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody wants to pay that money. So
no, I'm saying he doesn't have to pay that. Like he literally can go wherever the hell he wants because he's gonna get his 19 from.
No,
what is he getting? 13?
He already got paid that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I'm saying like he doesn't need to sign another $19 million.
That's a problem. But the issue is he doesn't. You're right. He doesn't. If he still wants it, no one's gonna give him that job. Right. That's the thing. And so the only way that they'll be forced to, or at least he'll have some sort of leverage, is if they're injured and a franchise is like, yo,
Baltimore? Lamar Jackson gets hit the wrong way. I don't know.
No, you want me to tell you? I
want to see that kid play.
You want me to tell you the one team that I do think he should have gone to, and I'll make it obvious by saying not Nick Foles. I would have loved to see Cam go to the Bears.
They're so stupid.
Stupid, right? Like it felt dumb.
So stupid.
Before they cut Trey Burton, they had 11 tight ends signed to their roster team.
Can I put it on wax that the Bears are so stupid?
Yeah. they were on my worst list. They were on my. If it wasn't Patriots, it was gonna be Bears, bro. It was gonna be Bears.
Not only are you paying Nick Foles, not that I'm not a huge Nick Foles fan, not that I'm a huge Trubisky fan either, but you could have waited this out, not traded for Foles, and signed Cam Newton for peanuts to push Mitchell Trubisky out the friggin' door. Because you're already saying you're not picking up his fifth-year option. You're already saying you're done with him.
Yeah.
Because you're paying Foles more. You didn't pick up his fifth-year option. You're telling people it's an open competition. Like you're saying bye-bye to Mitchell without saying bye-bye to Mitchell.
For sure.
You know what's funny about that? You know what's funny about that is because they're saying let's push Mitchell Trubisky, right? If let's say it works and he plays great, right? Now you got to sign him. He might. Now you got to sign him for
about to make Ryan Tannehill money.
An extra year that you could have had him on his rookie scale contract for. It is the dumbest shit.
He gonna get the 4-year $100 million.
Oh, they won't give him the chance to do well though.
No. Oh my God.
They won't give him the chance.
That's what's stupid about it. You pick up his fifth-year option because now if he gets out there and you tell him he can compete and he balls out, and now you have to at least franchise tag him.
Yep.
Which is going to be close to $30 million next year
nowadays. Yep.
Instead of just paying him whatever the fifth-year option was.
It was like 20 something,
23 mil, 22.
And whatever the case may be, it's just. I mean, we can go on because
they got weapons too. Like they got some running backs. They got some receivers. They've got
a squad. They've got a defense. They've got the pieces in place. Their offensive line could improve, but the quarterback play sucks. So
yeah,
I digress.
Anyways, TJ, it's your turn, man. On wax, what you got?
Putting it on wax. The Green Bay Packers are an 8-win team next year.
Ooh, love it. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to, on purpose, slow his production down?
No, I think he's going to be pissed off. I just think the NFC is so much better than the Green Bay Packers, and the NFC has improved all over the place, and I don't think the Packers improved. 8-win team,
Wow.
500.
Damn.
Wow.
I mean, I don't like their roster, to be honest. Like, their receivers are mediocre. Like I said, is Devin Funches gonna?
I think
We can go down the list if you want.
Dude,
I
it's
think
bad.
a lot of
It's
teams are
bad.
going the route of the Patriots in the sense of thinking that that whoever their piece is going to make their pieces better. And the guy like a Hall of Fame quarterback, I mean, he has Devontae Adams, which I think, if he stays healthy, can get him out of some trouble. Where I think, him and Scantling helped with Aaron Jones's running game. I think helped him get to that 13-3 record. But not everybody's going to be the Patriots. This is the thing, you have to keep stocking up on the things that have gotten you there. And if receiver play, if Devontae Adams is helping you, then why don't you get him another receiver to get Devontae Adams open, or to get this star receiver, this other, prospect a chance to be successful? And they didn't do any of that.
They showed you with their first round pick that brain trust, their GMs, their front office, they want a transition.
Well,
and they want to start it now.
But you know why? Because Brian Flores says, hey, we won 13 games with Devontae Adams and Scantling and Aaron Jones. Hey, you can do it again. We lost Balaga. You can do it again. And that's their belief. I'm not saying it's right. I just think that their belief, and Brian Flores is saying, hey, I'm looking at the future, and right now you did this with these pieces, right? I think you could do it again. I don't think that's going to be the result of
Here's my question.
That's their mentality.
Is Matt LaFleur a good coach?
We don't know that.
We don't know.
Well, this is the thing is, as of now, he had a 13-3 season. So we can't say that he's bad.
But when he played anybody, he got destroyed. Kyle Shanahan coached circles around him.
Oh, I know. We did our thing. I knew I was never scared about, I was on the field. I was never scared that was, that we were going to lose to them, because I think we all saw that 13-3 record was a little suspect, but they made it happen. I think now, just like you said, I don't know if I think they'll be like a 9. I think just one game over. I think they'll be a 9-7 kind of team,
8-8
or 10-6.
Putting it on wax.
But
Put it on wax.
My turn.
Love it.
By the way, would that be the
Hey,
worst record that Aaron Rodgers has had as a starter? 8-8. I don't think.
No, they were bad a couple of years ago.
They didn't make the playoffs a few years.
They didn't make the playoffs a couple of years ago.
Or was it a 9-7 season? I don't know if he's ever gone 8-8. I'm curious to see that. I got to look that up.
I don't know, but I'm gonna go ahead and say my own wax. You know what's funny? I just for shits and gigs, I was actually gonna argue against you guys. I actually think the Packers didn't have as bad of an offseason as people are making it out to be. I think Matt LaFleur really wants to be a run heavy type of team. And he drafted and signed people to be just like it, to make that identity. And then imagine being a run heavy type of team with a solid defense, and then arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Correct. So I think switching the shift of let's not gunsling, let's make Aaron make great decisions and gunsling when needed is actually I think it's going to fare well to, just like you said, TJ, he's not going to have to make crazy plays. It means he's going to be arguably be healthier. They drafted 3 offensive linemen. They drafted A.J. Dillon out of Boston College as a running back. They have the future in Jordan Love, which there is no pressure, right? It's going to be like sit down, just learn, be a great backup quarterback if needed. So I would actually argue that they and Josh, you made the best point of all. They have Devontae Adams, which is way more than Russell Wilson can say. They have
I don't know about that anymore.
I don't know about that
With
anymore.
DK Metcalf,
And Tyler
Lockett.
But in comparison to a Devontae Adams, it's still
previously.
I get that.
Who's the best out of the 3 is what I'm getting at.
I
right?
get that.
And I'll even use that argument as well. Aaron Jones coming out of the backfield. Who's got a better running back, Seahawks or Aaron Jones?
I think Russell Wilson's best quarterback in the NFL right now.
No. I completely agree. All I'm saying is like Packers aren't depleted. They're 13-3, and although I do agree with you that 7-1 is kind of crazy, I say a lot of that 7-1 is because they have a guy like Aaron Rodgers. But I'm gonna take my quick little on wax. It's gonna be that when the NBA returns, Miami will make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Just straight up, I have every faith in the world that people are sleeping on the fact that we got 2 All-Stars. We got arguably the best shooter in the game right now because Steph, with Steph just coming back. And Duncan Robinson,
potential rookie of the year, fucking.
Everyone gives homeboy, which he should, rookie of the year. But K Nunn is right, number 2 or 3, and Tyler Johnson, Tyler
Hero.
Tyler Hero coming, he's top 5 rookies. So we have 2 top 5 rookies in the NBA. We got 2 All-Stars and the best shooter in the NBA,
and the best dunker in the NBA,
and a top 3 coach in the NBA. We're going to go to the Eastern Conference. I'm putting it on wax.
Hey, let's just hope the NBA comes to Orlando because we're trying to talk about Vegas and Disney.
Let's put them in a Disney bubble.
I think it comes to Orlando.
Let's put them in that Disney Wide World of Sports bubble.
1,000 tests, and unfortunately for the NBA, they have a thing about public relations and how publicity would look if they had 15,000 tests. Taken away from hospitals, even though there are even independent tests, they won't even take those. Like somebody like Joe Rogan, who does that for his guests, which I believe they do. It's through blood. It's not the swab, which is the only FDA approved test. And unfortunately, just like what happened with China, the NBA didn't want to say anything about China because there's too much money in China. Mm-hmm. People's rights were being obliterated on. The NBA wasn't saying nothing because they didn't want their business in China to get hurt. So they're not going to do anything that's going to make them look bad to the eye of the people. I disagree. I think if they have the means to get independent testing to do the things that some of these private corporations and big companies are doing, then you should do the same, because you're not taking away tests from hospitals. You're not doing things that's hurting the fight on the front lines. You're finding other options. You're finding all the other alternatives. And unfortunately, I think, which sucks because we were number 1 in the West. I'm talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. I honestly don't know if we're gonna get an NBA season this year. I think we need one, and I think there has to be a winner.
Josh, I think TJ's making
they need to play games. You're right, but Adam Silver already said he is not taking any. If it's 15,000 tests, he's not doing it.
Josh, all I'm saying is that even if it means, I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be they're gonna crown a champion, even if it's all right. We're gonna have one day where everyone's gonna play, and it's gonna be a fucking single elimination, and we'll find a weekend, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday single elimination. If you lose, you go back to where you're at, and you quarantine for 2 weeks or wherever the fuck case may be. They are going to play.
They would break viewership records if they did that. That would be amazing.
I'm curious to see if
it's gonna be a scrimmage.
It doesn't look, as of now, it doesn't look too good when it comes to the testing. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. Because they need to get the testing, and they haven't decided. They've already said that they didn't want to get independent testing because that's the only one that honestly at this point they're gonna get. Yeah. They're not gonna get swabs, which is worse anyways.
Josh, would you be how happy would you be watching an NBA game with 0 fans but everyone mic'd up? How dope do you think that would be?
It'd be dope. It'd be super dope. I don't think they'll do it. I mean, which is fun. Which is another. I didn't even think about that aspect. They'd have to make sure that I think they're going to work in some sort of crowd. If I were the NBA, I would do some sort of competition to say, hey, do you guys want to be involved in our games? Do you want to be the fans for our games? We'll televise. We'll put you on a Zoom call. We'll have you watch the game, and we'll have you, kind of like what they did with the draft, where at one moment there was fans, kind of whatever. I think that'd be great. But in retrospect, then you got to worry about if these kids are cussing and whatever, just as much as the players. So I don't know. It's gonna be really weird. It's gonna be really weird.
As an adult, and they obviously don't play for adults because we're obviously lifers for a reason. But I would love for there to be a playoff series
Mic'd up.
with everyone mic'd up. Oh, speaking of the Last Dance, could you imagine if you had Chicago Bulls and Pistons, everyone mic'd up? How fucking dope that would have been.
That Indiana series mic'd up.
Even now, man. Even now, I mean, these guys talk a lot of trash. I just don't think you can't. You know, in an age now where just again, especially for the NBA that publicity wise is worried about how it's gonna fall back on them. I think what we're gonna be hearing is foul. We're gonna hear like the most and just a bunch of sneakers just throughout the court. That's what we're gonna hear.
Like that
commercial.
I love
Just to answer the question about the Packers real quick.
Yeah.
Back to that. They finished 6-9-1 in 2018 and 7-9 in 2017.
I'm telling you, they were trash the last year.
2017 though, Aaron Rodgers got hurt.
Okay. But let's say in a healthy season, do we think has there been one? I was looking it up.
2018, he was 6-9-1.
6-9-1.
Yeah, that's when he had no help.
Yeah,
no help.
He had Devontae Adams.
Yeah. His rookie year?
No, Devontae Adams has been around for a while.
For like 6 years already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's gonna do it.
right.
Love it.
Oh man, hey, thank you guys again for listening. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Lifers Podcast, our Instagram and Twitter at the Lifers Pod. Man, we continue the support. Everyone's watching the fucking YouTube, which is awesome. We have over I think it was 1,500 minutes watched.
Love it.
On our YouTube. So
keep it going, Kev. That's all you, baby. Keep it work, man.
Yo, how do you guys like the fucking
the snippets? I love it.
The intro.
Oh yeah.
No, I love the Frankie intro. I love it.
Little clips.
Hold on. Funny story about the intro. Kev already knows about this because I called him as soon as it happened. But so Santi's about to get in the shower. He likes to throw on YouTube while he's in the shower and listen to stuff. He's about to walk to the shower, and all of a sudden I hear, Lifers Podcast. Get with it or get freaking forgotten. I turn around. I'm like, yo, Santi, what the hell is that? He goes, it's your podcast. I'm like, oh, I was like, how'd you get Dad on there? I said, we didn't record a podcast with that. We used the YouTube channel. He's like, I know, that's what it is. Like, you're watching that whole thing? And he goes, no, it's a snippet of the videos that are on there. I said, what are you talking about? Kevin has edited and put that snippet on every single one of our videos to start.
It's the intro, bro.
I love it.
Yo, Kev, man, what's up with this, dog? I'm like, you're trying to get serious out here.
Oh, but now you got to cut Frankie in, bro. We got to make sure we lawyer up, all right? We can't have him fucking
Get with it.
Can't have him getting any pieces of spot right now.
That was pretty much him saying. That was pretty much him saying we good. That's all.
Right?
We got to trademark that before he does.
Right.
That was on wax. That was him on wax.
All right, you heard that, Savi. Get on it.
Trademark.
But all right, man. Love y'all. Thank you for another great episode. And
safe.
Look forward, Josh. We got another one coming tomorrow, so we're gonna double up.
Yes, with Mikey.
First podcast, get with it or get forgotten.
Can't wait to get forgotten. Yeah, love it, man.
Love y'all.